Local 5 News at 10 in HD starts now with breaking news.
And breaking right now, a shooting on the northeast side of Des Moines. Police are on the scene right now, and so is Local 5's Katie Ortiz.
Katie, what do we know so far?
Jack and Stephanie, the scene is wrapping up now, but I'm here at the 3000 block of Cambridge Street. We're actually right across the street from Findlay Elementary School. Little details are being released at this time as it is still under investigation, but here is what we know. Roughly an hour ago, a man, we don't know his age yet, was shot in the arm and the chest. He was taken to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries, we just learned. Police still do not know the circumstances surrounding the shooting. They've done interviews with people outside this home as well. They're still on scene here with the crime scene unit. We've seen dogs kind of sniffing around. Again, little information being released at this time. What we do know, a man was shot here on Cambridge Street, right across the street from Findlay Elementary School with non-life-threatening injuries. That's the latest live in Des Moines. I'm Katie Ortiz for Local 5 News. We are Iowa.
All right, Katie, thank you. And stay with Local 5 as this story develops. We're going to check back in with Katie if she has any more information for us.
Detectives in Des Moines may be taking a new look at the case of a Metro boy missing for decades. This renewed hope comes after a break in the abduction case of a boy from Minnesota just last week. Daniel Heinrich is now a person of interest in the disappearance of Jacob Wetterling in Minnesota in 1989. Heinrich appeared in federal court yesterday, and a judge ruled he should be kept in jail, calling him, quote, a danger to the community. Right now, he only faces child pornography charges, not anything related to Jacob Wetterling's case. Still, details about evidence found in Heinrich's home caught the attention of a retired Des Moines police detective. He worked on the case of missing paperboy Eugene Martin, who was abducted in 1984 and never found. Local 5's Amanda Krenz takes a look back at that case that gripped the life of a police officer and all of Iowa. It's tonight's big story.
As this garage door opens, it reveals a young man with big brown eyes staring back at you. This is Eugene Martin.
Every day when I drive in, every day when I walk in, I look at him, I think about him. Where's he at? What happened to him?
Eugene is missing. He disappeared on August 12, 1984, a date permanently etched in Jim Rowley's memory.
And my boy was August 12, 84 on my son's birthday.
Really?
Really.
Interesting to me that you call him my boy.
Well, he is. I can't find him, so he's mine, you know.
Jim Rowley wants to be reminded of his missing boy every day. That's why this 30-year-old poster is hanging in his garage. Jim used to be Senior Police Officer Rowley, the main investigator in Eugene Martin's disappearance. This is the corner where Eugene Martin vanished, Southwest 14th Street and Highview Drive. He was 13 years old, out here that morning, rolling up the newspapers, getting ready to deliver them on his morning paper route.
Southwest 14th and Highview, got a missing paper boy. Don't let it be a West Des Moines case.
About 2 years before that call came in about Eugene Martin, 13-year-old Johnny Gosch went missing while he was delivering papers in West Des Moines.
We worked, I don't know, 3 or 4 days around the clock, neighborhood canvas. We'd interview everybody in the house, how many pets, dogs, children, get all your cars. And we found some interesting people, but nothing ever sent the balloon up.
Hi, my name is Gary Roberts. I'm with the FBI.
The DCI, FBI, and West Des Moines PD all came in to help with the case. Eugene's father, Donnie Martin, tried to coordinate search efforts with neighbors and volunteers.
He said he headed up Indianola.
That's out towards
Easter Lake, yeah. He headed up Indianola Road up that way.
The only solid clues left behind that day were Eugene's bag full of papers left on the corner and a few people who saw Eugene that morning talking to somebody.
And we found 3 people going to the Balloon Fest that had drove by and saw Eugene talking to a man. It looked like a father-son conversation with a paper bag between them.
The search teams combed through cornfields. Officer Eugene Martin's case was sadly similar to Johnny Gosch. Years slipped by with no sign of the missing kid. Eugene's father talked to reporters on the anniversaries of his son's disappearance.
I'll never give up hope. Long as there's no body or no evidence pointing in that direction, I'll never give up hope.
Don Martin passed away in 2010. never knowing what happened to Eugene. Although in his obituary it says he was preceded in death by his son. Don Martin was good friends with Officer Jim Rowley. The two met every week for years on Friday evenings to talk about new leads.
No matter what lead he had, I would go out and work it. And we never had a concrete lead.
The Eugene Martin file remains open today. It's full of paperwork from more than 30 years of following leads and collecting any fraction of evidence. 899 leads to be exact, all kept in a secure location with other unsolved crimes. Case number 843464 haunts Jim Rowley.
You know, you can leave a homicide at work. I know that sounds bizarre, but you can leave a shooting or stabbing or a robbery at work. But here's a family member missing, and all he was doing was out delivering papers.
Rowley has a theory that both Eugene Martin and Johnny Gosch were the victims of a pedophile. He believes they're both dead, but he has not given up on finding out what happened to his boy.
84-30464. I hope nobody ever gives up on him.
And that was Amanda Krenz reporting. Jim Rowley says he plans to keep a close eye on this Minnesota case and this latest development. He also hopes before the end of his life to have answers about what happened to Eugene Martin. If you want to see more Local 5 archival footage from when this case first came about, we have those stories on our website, weareiowa.com.
New at 10, Senator Joni Ernst backs the governor's decision to privatize Medicaid in Iowa. This move would affect 560,000 Iowans, but still needs federal approval. And a hearing into whether or not a state employee used confidential information to help one of the companies sink a bid is standing in the way, too. During Senator Ernst's weekly press conference today, she said there are two things this move has to accomplish to benefit the state and those who use it.
If we are able to save those dollars, utilize those dollars, and making sure that those patients or those customers are really taken care of and that they are receiving quality health care, then I think it's the direction that we need to move as a state.
And the governor says that's why what this move will accomplish. He says the state will save $51 million once that deal goes through. Plus, it will provide a better health care system for those who currently use it.
Without coordinated care, we have one provider that is basically subscribing this medicine, another this, and they oftentimes are in conflict with each other, and the person ends up in the hospital or emergency room.
Iowans met at the state capitol this week to discuss the transition. The biggest concern is if the transition can be completed smoothly by January 1st, the date it is set to roll out.
A big donor gets to see what he bought for the Waukee Police Department. Rod French gave $14,000 to the department back in May to buy body cameras for officers. Today, officers showed Mr. French the new cameras, including how they'll be used out in the field. And police say it'll create a safer environment for everyone.
And this is an accountability, too. It holds the officers accountable for their actions, their words. It also holds the community members accountable for their words and their actions, too. So, you know, it complements each other and it accomplishes the overall mission, and that is providing public safety.
Right now, each of the Waukee officers has a camera. When they go out on a call, they can download whatever video they shoot onto a server in just a couple of minutes.
Only a select number of Iowans will speak next week at the Iowa Utilities Board public hearing. It's for the proposed Dakota Access or Bakken pipeline, which would cut diagonally through the state. The project has sparked strong opinions from people who don't want and those that do. They will let 210 people speak at next week's hearing, half for and half against the pipeline, and that isn't sitting well with some.
When you look at the number of objections or letters of support that have been submitted to the Iowa Utilities Board, the objections actually coming from Iowans outnumber the letters of support.
Splitting up 50-50 appeared to be the fairest way to allow both sides an opportunity to speak at the public hearing.
All the speaking spots are basically full right now, but you can still call the IUB to get on the list. Head to our website for more information.
A big discovery tonight by a team of researchers at Iowa State University. Members of the Veterinary College discovered a virus that affects infant pigs. Local 5's Jacob Peklo joins us now with more on the research.
Jack, for years, veterinarians and farmers have been trying to figure out why some piglets are born experiencing severe shaking. Now, more often than not, it means they die early. But now the team thinks they may have unlocked the key to developing a vaccine. Paulo Arruda has been busy working toward his doctorate at Iowa State University. During the last 2 years, he spent a lot of his time trying to help pig farmers solve a 100-year-old problem.
We're trying to save those pigs that could not make on the first few days of life.
The Brazilian is part of a team studying infant pigs who suffer from involuntary shaking. Sometimes the piglets won't live longer than a couple of days because of the tremors. And as part of their research, they inject the virus into the uterus of pregnant sows, and then they have a control group to compare it to and run tests.
The virus is very common with pigs that are shaking and not common in control pigs. So with that, we have one more piece of evidence that the virus might be linked to the tremor, to the clinical signs will be observed.
They identified the pestivirus was not only associated with tremors, but actually causes them.
So we kind of hit the time where the brain is being developed. So we believe that that time the virus, through a mechanism that we do not understand yet, could produce tremor.
And with their research, they're hoping their next step will be an even bigger breakthrough.
We do not have some of those numbers yet. Probably the major goal here is try to develop a vaccine so we can help those pigs out.
Arruda says the pestivirus isn't usually epidemic across large populations, but it can strike often within individual farms. That's one of the big reasons he says they're trying to slow its spread. Live in the studio, Jacob Peklo, Local 5 News. We are Iowa.
Jacob, thanks. And team members say the virus does not make pork unsafe for you to eat, and it cannot spread from pigs to people. Coming up on Local 5 Sports, meet a member of the Iowa Wild hockey team who's battled his whole life to get where he is, both on and off the ice.
Then there's some pretty clear cutoffs for the next Republican debate tonight. Who failed to make that cut?
And our 70s are gone. It's going to be cooler, back to average. I got the forecast coming up, so stay tuned.
Tomorrow on Good Morning Iowa.
It's Friday, so Local 5 heads to the movies. We get a look at the newest James Bond flick.
And a well-loved comic strip jumps to the big screen.
Plus, you guys' weekend forecast. Looking a little dry, cool. Sun'll be out.
Join us tomorrow, all new on Good Morning Iowa.